Let's bring in Daniel Schwammenthal, who is with the AJC Transatlantic Institute, a think tank based in Brussels. Daniel, a very good evening to you. What is it with Belgium? Why does it have such a particular problem with radical Islamists? I mean, you think about Islamic State in terms of Western European countries, there are more Belgians there per capita than any other country. We think about Molenbeek, that part of Brussels which has sent people to die in Paris as well as Syria. What's going on?
Right. The situation here in Brussels is really magnified compared to what's going on in the rest of Europe and Western Europe, where we have similar problems. But there are particular issues here. One has to do with the compartmentalization of the country. This city, Brussels, has actually 19 mayors, 19 different communes with their own city councils. There are 6 police departments in the city. So here we have already a problem with respect to basically just getting everybody organized and communicating with each other. On top of that, as you mentioned, the commune of Molenbeek, there we had a mayor for 20 years, a socialist mayor, who has really shut down extremely and aggressively any discussion about what's going on in his district in terms of parallel society and radicalization and Islamic jihadism, where anybody who raised any concern was immediately attacked as a racist, shutting down any discussion. And as long as these people would vote for him, he would allow the state to fester and deteriorate, and he has done nothing to protect the city, and now we are seeing the results.
Is it also a function, do you think, Daniel, of the fact that for protracted periods in Belgium, that there's been a political vacuum at the very top? It's a function of coalition politics, which sometimes leaves you without a prime minister.
Well, this is, as I said earlier, the sort of compartmentalization of the country. The federal, the country is basically split in 2 language communities. And here we have another problem of simply, people between Antwerp and Brussels, just a 45-minute drive away, speaking 2 different languages. And yes, indeed, there is a sort of paralysis has been at times at the head of the federal government. But I think overall the problem has been a little bit like you see in other countries, but perhaps more pronounced here, a willingness to look the other way, out of a misguided political correctness, perhaps, to look the other way as these parallel societies developed, as radicalized mosques sprung up throughout the country, here in Brussels, funded primarily by Saudi Arabia, which has helped to turn around the once moderate community into with many more radicalized elements, and leading to the situation now that Brussels is under lockdown.
People stop looking the other way, Daniel, don't they, when there's a crisis, when they're forced to pay attention? Didn't that happen when we had the attack on the Jewish Museum?
When the attacks on the Jewish Museum happened, indeed, there was a new beginning, a new start, and we also had a new government quickly afterwards coming into power, a center-right government that took these sort of security issues more seriously. But even this government has now come under criticism for not acting quickly enough. And just shortly before these horrendous attacks in Paris, there were media reports that the central anti-terror unit of the police department had only 1 part-time staff member tasked with overseeing the jihadi social media scene. Which is, of course, ludicrous. And there were not enough Arabic speakers in the department, leading one member of the parliament here to mockingly say, well, one can only hope that the terrorists all communicate in English and French using snail mail.
Daniel Schwammenthal, thank you very much indeed. Lorna.